It's April 1st, 2003, so about the 10th day of the war. We are 70 miles north of the border of Iraq and Saudi Arabia. And so we're basically behind enemy lines at this point. And so he calls eject, eject, eject. And then, you hear about, all this time dilation and all those kind of things like car wreck, right? Everything's just slows down. You can think of everything, right? That whole ejection sequence, I think takes like 1.7 seconds or something like that. It seemed, even now when I think about it, it's like 10 minutes long, that whole thing, right? So he calls eject, eject, eject. We're at 20,000 feet in the middle of the night in April, and there's no moon. It's just dark. Can't see anything. It's the western desert of Iraq, so it's an ink bottle that we're flying in. Um, at that point, my job as the pilot, I've just been flying the airplane, right? So I slow down the airplane as much as I can. We get down to like 200 knots, which, as a fighter guy, that's way slow,
Yep.
especially in combat. Normally you're flying around 350, 400 knots all the time, right? Just so you have ability to maneuver if you need to. So I slowed us down about 200 knots. Gordo pulls the ejection handle. So I'm flying. He calls eject, eject, eject. I let go of the throttles and the stick and then just grab right here onto my torso harness and I tilt my head back. And of course, my goggles are still right there. And I'm like, oh, crap. Um, so I'm doing this, because as a pilot, your instinct is just to fly the airplane, and that's my job. And so in a two-seat airplane, in general, what we've seen in the Navy in the two-seat airplanes, at least, the ejection is command eject. So either crew member pulls the ejection seat, you both go out, and that's because if you hit a bird or something, pilot's incapacitated, the Rio or the Wizzo, now for the Super Hornet can get you out. So Gordo pulls the ejection handle, and that's pretty typical. Pilots usually flying the airplane, and then the Wizzo or the Rio is going to pull the ejection handle. So he pulls the handle. First thing I remember, just like the first Top Gun movie, I remember hearing boom, and the canopy comes off, right, and blows off. So here we are. I'm wearing a flight suit, right? We're at 20,000 feet in the middle of the night in Iraq. It's like 20 below zero out there, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing I feel is this wind blast of 20 below zero. And you're like, holy cow, right? And so I remember distinctly hearing boom, canopy goes off, blows off, and then I hear Gordo's seat go out. And the way the Tomcat was mechanized, because we sit fore and aft in the cockpit, um, just so the seats don't hit each other, the Rio's going to go first, and he's got a little bit of a right cant, so boom, he goes out to the right, and then the pilot's going to go out to the left. So boom, Gordo goes out. I remember seeing the flash from the rocket motor of his ejection seat, like, kind of ruined my night vision goggles. Remember, like I said, this whole sequence is like 1.7 seconds, but I remember all of this, right? And so then I'm here waiting, and then boom, I go. And because I had my goggles up here on my forehead, my head tilts down. So you want to be in a good ejection position, right? So that your spinal cord doesn't get compressed too much. You're not going to get a neck injury and everything. Yeah, so much for that. So boom, head down, and now I'm forced looking down between my legs. And I mean, if I close my eyes right now, I can see it. I'm looking down between my legs. I can see the planform of the Tomcat going away and the red lights in the cockpit. So I'm just looking down. I can see it right now. The red lights, the planform going away, and then I blacked out because you pull like 20 G's. And so if your head's in the good position, you're probably okay. But with your head down, all that blood's just rushing out of my head. And so I blacked out at this point, unconscious, out. And then I wake up. And so the way the seat's mechanized is, I'm sure your seats are probably the same, is, so you don't freeze to death or suffocate. If you eject at 20,000 feet or wherever, the parachute doesn't open until 11,500 feet, plus or minus 1,500 feet. So somewhere in there. So we ejected right around 20,000 feet. I wake up, I'm still in the seat, and I'm just in this free fall, falling in the middle of black night, right? Can't see anything. There's no horizon. There's no moon. There's no lights on the ground. Close your eye, go to the top of the Empire State Building, close your eyes and jump down the elevator shaft. That's what I'm feeling, except it's 20 below zero, right? And so oxygen mask is still on, but I don't have a visor on because we were wearing goggles. Goggles are gone from the blast. I lost my knee board. All that stuff, that's all gone. And I'm just free falling in this seat. And about the time I'm like, I can't take this anymore because I can't see anything. I'm going to die from this. So we had the ability in the Grew 7, you could manually seat man separate. So you had to basically pull a little right handle on the right side of your seat, and then you pull the D-ring and the parachute would open, because the way it works is the parachute's in the head box of the ejection seat, and there's a baro altimeter in there basically, and when it senses 11,000 feet plus or minus 1,500, boom, it pops the parachute out, right? And that's how that works. And then basically an airbag in the back of your seat blows you out. So I'm sitting there thinking, I mean, this is my conscious thought as I'm going down. I'm like, I'm going to die, I think I'm going to hit the ground going this hard. And right then, boom, our jet hits the ground. So fortunately for us, we had already dropped all our bombs, which was good. And then, but that fuel that was trapped in that left side caught on fire. So boom, I got this fireball. When I talked to Gordo about it, he said he's looking down and sees this, and he's like, hey, somebody's dropping bombs out here. Is what his thought was. And my thought was, holy cow, that's the airplane just hit, right? And so I am, no kidding, getting ready to manually seat man up. And then boom, the barrel altimeter kicks in. Boom, airbag hits me. Toosh, kicks me right out of the seat, and then whew, chute opens. Opening shock, right? So you're screaming as you're coming down. And as you know, our parachute, it's not like the SEAL teams or the special forces in these little square chutes where you can steer that thing and it's all kind of Gucci. This is just a round parachute designed to keep you alive, right? And so here it goes. Boom, chute opens up. And then once again, it felt like a Mike Tyson punch. I was like, bam, holy cow. I was kind of rung my bell again. A little unconscious, seeing stars a little bit. I'm like, God, that's twice, unconscious in this event already. And then, when you go through all the parachute training and all that stuff, we do it like every 4 years in the Navy. I'm not sure how long it is in the Air Force, right? And so you go through and you get all these things, and you're like, the first thing you check is, check your chute, and so our acronym is IROC, right? Inspect, inflate, raft, because we're Navy guys, right? Options, pull off your gloves, do these things, and then your Coke fittings is what you want to do, because if you're going to, hit in the water, you want to make sure you pop those things off. And so first thing, I was like, I haven't done this training. It's been probably 3.5 years. I'm not going to remember any of this stuff. Man, when you go to lizard brain, that stuff kicks in. And so, boom, inspect. I look up, and there's the canopy, right? And so the military canopy's got, it's got a white panel, it's got an orange panel, and a green panel. And the white and orange is, signaling device you can use if you're out on the ground somewhere in the water. You can use it. Your rescuers can see you, and then that ground is kind of, hey, if you need to build shelter, it's camouflage or whatever, right? So first thing I do is inspect a chute, right? So look up, and guess what? The white panel's just up there fluttering. And I'm like, oh my God, right? My bad night just got really bad, because unlike, the 82nd Airborne or the Special Forces, we don't carry a spare. You got one shot. This is it, right? So from that training I got, and God bless, the folks that give us that training, all these things. So I'm trying all this stuff. I'm thinking, hey, maybe I got a line over. All the tricks, right? So I'm going to try and bounce this line off. Yep. I'm going to pull on one of the risers. I'm going to do the bicycle kick. I'm thinking all this stuff going through. So I'm trying to do all that. It's black. I can't really see everything. I don't even know if the white or if the greenish panel is even inflated. I might have a streamer. I can't tell. All I can see, because I lost all my night vision from when Gordo's seat went off, right? So boom, I'm blinded. All I can see as my night vision is coming back is that white panel just up there fluttering. And so I'm just in a panic, honestly, trying to fix all this stuff. And then finally, kind of night vision starts to come back as I'm just screaming downhill. I can see that orange panel. I can see the brown panel. The white one's fluttering. I honestly think, I probably had enough adrenaline. I could have just pulled on the risers and pulled the line over off, climbed up there and done it. So, one of our options is 4-line release, so you can steer this thing, right? So you want to steer into the wind, because if you remember back then, seeing the pictures on CNN and Fox and, all the coverage of these big sandstorms and all that stuff. And my only vision in my mind was, here I have this, parachute, and I'm going to land, and I'm going to be like the old Western, get drugged behind this parachute going across the desert. So I'm thinking, I got to fix this thing. You want to steer into the wind so you can prevent some of that stuff from going on. But now that I have this line over, I'm like, I'm not going to pop that 4-line release to steer, because I don't know how many good lines I got anyway, and I don't want to cut 8 of them And now what do I have? So I'm thinking, holy cow. And so yeah, my serious conscious thought was, I'm gonna die. This is gonna kill me. So then I start going, what are the other options I have? Fortunately, as a Navy pilot, we fly with our life jackets on all the time, so we have them. So think about if you have any listeners that go out and go fishing, and they have the little low profile one that's kind of around their neck, right? You fall in the water, you can inflate that thing. I had the old style one that we used to fly, so it had one around the neck, and then it had some kind of here, big bladders around the waist, but it's all included in our survival vest. So I'm thinking, normally over land we wouldn't inflate that thing because you don't want to get hung up in trees and all kinds of stuff. I don't know what possessed me at the time, but I was just like, airbag. So I inflated that thing. Comes up around my neck and then around my waist. And so at this point, I'm like, okay, I got a good orange panel. I got a good brown one. The white one's still shot. I'm coming down pretty hard. Um, I think I'll probably survive this. I mean, it was a conscious thought, but I'm going to break my legs and probably my back. Um, and so I'm coming down. And so as I'm coming down, because of the air's leaking out of that orange panel, I'm kind of doing slow spirals as I'm coming down. And now I have at least one light source. It's not good. You don't have any depth perception with that, but the airplane's burning over here off in the distance, so at least I can see something. And so if you think about it, you get in your living room, turn off all the lights, and put a birthday candle over in the corner, and that's about what I had, right? So I got this little teeny fire that's burning over there, and I'm looking at that, and I'm doing kind of slow circles. And as I perceive that's getting closer to the horizon, I'm trying to think, okay, just relax. If you relax, you're going to hit the ground, do your parachute landing fall. If you're relaxed, you're not stiff, your muscles will be good, your legs will give, and then you'll be fine. And so I'm thinking about the sandstorm. I got my hands on my Coke fittings. I'm going to pop the parachute off as soon as I land. Um, so I'm doing these slow circles, and then I wake up, and I'm like, where am I? I have no idea what's going on. I mean, I got my bell rung so hard, and this is the third time I'm unconscious in the last 10 minutes, right? But this time was the real bell ringer. So I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. I'm like, I look down, I'm like, I'm laying on the ground. I'm like, I'm laying in the desert. I'm in a flight suit. I had popped my Coke fittings. I don't know. I did it, I guess, when I hit. I don't even remember doing that because my parachute was kind of laying away from me. I'm like, that's a parachute. I'm laying in the desert. I'm like, huh. And then it starts to come back, right? So, holy cow. I must have